Hey, hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Brave Widow Show. Today, I have a very special guest, Denise, with me, and we're going to talk about some about her story and also about the Brave Widow retreat that's coming up at the end of June. So, Denise, welcome, and thank you so much for being willing to come on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Emily.
Yes. So Denise and I meeting and working on this retreat together was definitely a God thing because I met Denise, I think it was through Brave Through the Holidays,
Mhm.
which was a pop-up class that we did over the holidays on how to make the holidays a little lighter and easier. And so I got to know her a little bit in that. I had been looking up event planners and I was at my computer and I had my email and I was like, I've really got to email an event planner and just get the conversation started. And Denise just sent me this message like out of nowhere that was like, hey, if you're ever thinking about doing an in person event or retreat, this is what I do. This is what I enjoy doing. And so the conversation has just grown from there. So, Denise, before we talk about the retreat and where we're going and what that looks like, I know people would love to learn a little bit about you and what you're comfortable sharing with your story. So, would you mind to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've appreciated getting to know you and the groups and things that you have offered. I am still in my first year of widowhood, and my husband was got sick last year in June, and it's May now. I was thinking this time last year we were still like happy-go-lucky, like didn't know anything. He was having no symptoms and just got a really bad type of cancer, and 3 months later, he passed away in September. And so it was really fast. My body's still trying to catch up with my brain on all the changes. He was very sick and a lot of pain, but yeah, and it was just very fast and quick.
Hmm.
Before I met him, we have a really fun, I won't tell you the whole thing because it would take too long, but we have a really fun story of how we got together. It's one of those stories like I need to write the whole thing down because it's one of those Hallmark type of meetings and it's just super fun. And he was a super fun type of guy. And so everything we did was always filled with fun. And
Oh,
I was living in Southern Oregon. I grew up in Northern California, Southern Oregon. I grew up on a farm. My dad was a potato farmer. And we literally lived in the middle of an open field. My grandparents were homesteaders to the area. And the nearest city that we would go to, which is still pretty small, but had all the major things, was in Oregon. So we would cross the border all the time to the border. In fact, my grandparents live, and now my sister also lives on the same road. It's called the State Line Road, and they live on the north side of the road, which is in Oregon. And if you live on the other side of the street, on the south side of the road, you live in California. So that's where I grew up. That's where I was living after I graduated college and was working and met one of my closest friends. And she introduced me to my husband who was living in Seattle. And Seattle was always a place I had always wanted to live. And so I was like, perfect, this guy's great. So we came and I met him and we instantly hit it off. And I moved up there 9 months later. We got engaged 4 months later, and we're married another 4 months later. And
wow.
we bought our home that we still have today. And that's where we were living the whole time we were married. And we have 3 kids and we just built this beautiful life up there and had a great marriage and had to overcome a lot of obstacles and all. He was from a different culture, so there's a lot of cultural things we had to work through as a couple, but he was my best friend, definitely.
What were some of your absolute favorite things about him?
The way he'd make you laugh, that yeah, he had the best sense of humor. And he had one of those laughs too, where he just a booming laugh. Like I got a text from one of his coworkers the other day that's like, I just miss his laugh. He'd be sitting there, and from across across the office area, you could hear his booming laugh at something somebody would say. And he loved to make people laugh. He's caused me to pee my pants laughing type of guy.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, and I love too that both of us are pretty extroverted. We both have lots of friends. And one thing I really appreciated about him was his friends. He has so many close guy friends that are just his besties. And I love that about him too. People and relationships were very important to both of us. And that was really reflected in the way that we lived out our life, the way we welcomed people into our home. And I can't even name the amount of people we had live or stay with us over the 25 years we were married, so, or together. And he passed away just shy of our 25th wedding anniversary. So there's a lot to miss about him. But as a widow, like right after he passed away, I did all the funeral planning, which was a ton of work. And then after the funeral, I had to immediately go into I think they have a term for it even, the business of widowhood.
Like the
Um,
administration, the
mhm.
sad men.
Yes, yeah. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? But yeah, I mean, and my husband was this brilliant engineer. And like most brilliant people, he wasn't known for his organizational systems. And he had taken over most of the payments and everything. So everything was a hot mess. And I don't know, we had so many bank accounts. Everything was from everywhere. I didn't know any of his passwords, any of that stuff. So just to
Oh,
look up one simple password would be a 2-hour process to get it changed. So that was just in the intensity of all of that. We had one credit card, but come to find out it was only in his name, so they canceled it, and I was out without a credit card, and I didn't know we paid a lot of our home bills on it. So it's like I still didn't have time to grieve at
mm,
all. And now we're 2 months, it was like every day, it was like a 40-hour work week job, just taking care of that business stuff. And every day having to say, oh, my husband died, right? It's like, I think I went 5 months before I had one day where I didn't have to say that. And
ugh.
I think that's the intensity of all that is a lot. But so I got to the end of that month, and then I had one of my kiddos had a mental health crisis, and then had to deal with that, right? And so I finally got to around the holidays, which Christmas especially was a huge thing for us. It was a big deal. We had a lot of traditions. We were both very big into our traditions, and we do this every year, so we have to do it again. And so we had a lot of really fun traditions. So I just didn't want to do any of it. And I was exhausted. I hadn't had that deep grief yet, like hadn't had the space or time just to have that deep grief and just grieve. And so it was about the week before Thanksgiving, and I ended up at my mom's house, and I finally was just able to let down and just cry, right? And it was my first time before Thanksgiving. I don't think a lot of people like knew or understood that of going through all of that. But it was that time that I found you because I was like, how am I going to survive the holidays? But I can't tell you how healing it was to be like in the house I grew up in. I think a lot of people with widows don't know what to do. And I think for my mom, it was like, oh, I can feed you, like, and I can give you space.
Right.
And I was out in the middle of nowhere, but yet I had these beautiful sunsets every night that I was looking at, and I felt safe there, and it was quiet, and I could just grieve. I don't think I got out of my pajamas for 2 days, and and that type of thing, and just was able to grieve. And but I was starting to look around. I know how important groups are and finding other people that understand what you're going through and how important that is. And that's when and it was funny because I found you on TikTok, and I think the last time I looked at TikTok was probably in November when I found you. And I literally looked at it for less than 2 minutes. So I think even finding this group was a God thing for me
Mm.
because I just don't like that app. And I just happened to go on it, found you, and I haven't gone back on it since type of thing. But you're like, oh, I have this thing about surviving the holidays. And then I'm like, I'm there because I don't know how to survive. My brain, frontal lobes go out and you're like, I can't think anymore. And the brain fog's thick and I don't know how to take care of myself. And the holidays were hard. They were very hard, but I really appreciated the support that I got from that group was
Yeah.
really, and just having other people that understood it was really great. And it got to the end, you went through New Year's, I think it was, and it was right after New Year's. And I basically been spending a lot of time down in Southern Oregon. And it was looking possibly even that like come down here and should I move down here? And I have a lot of family in the area. I have my mom, my sister, aunts and uncles. I think I have 10 cousins and all of their spouses that I'm related
Wow.
to, plus a lot of my childhood friends live here. One of my closest childhood friends lives at this resort that's in the Southern Oregon town. So every time we come down here, we'd usually come out to the resort. So I have pictures of my oldest, who's now 22, and her daughter, who's 23, when they were little babies and at the pool at this resort that she lives at. And there's a golf course here, and I golf, but I'm not, it's a world-renowned golf course for those people that are golfers. It's like an Arnold Palmer golf course. I golf, but I'm not good enough to golf there yet. I'm more like hit the ball, walk to it, hit the ball, walk to it. So, but yeah, a lot of people that are really into golf are like, say it's an amazing course, and it has an ice rink here that we've come up many times and gone ice skating. I think we went broom hockey one time. I have this great picture of my husband with all the kids, and it was at the very end, and I think we'd all come to my mom's for the holidays or something. So we came up here, and there's a picture of my husband with his broom, hanging above his head and all the kids in front of him. It's just a really sweet picture
Oh,
of everybody together that had done broom hockey. But this resort is just, I've been coming out here a lot, and it's just been a place of this peace and healing for me. And so it was right after that, it was at the very end of this thing, and I was kind of flippantly, hey, if you ever want to do a retreat, I love planning retreats. I've done a lot of retreats in my past, been the main planner. I love to plan and organize. And I just did one. Was it that? It was just last year. Yeah, it was last year in May. I wasn't the original planner, but it was for a good friend of mine, and her mom had passed away. So she kind of, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, I just jumped in and took over because I've done them enough that it's just something natural that I do. And then I was like, this would be such a great place for retreat. I have a bunch of retreats planned in my head. I have some written out on paper. And so that, yeah, I contacted you like, hey, kind of flippantly said, hey, if you ever want to plan a retreat, I have a great place here in Southern Oregon. And it would be very easy for me just because I know the area really well. I know which airport to fly into. I know what there is to do in the area, all the ins and outs. And so I think I kind of flippantly said it, in some sense, like, oh, hey, would you want to plan a retreat? But like you said, the timing was impeccable,
divine.
right? It was amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like I couldn't have made it up because I literally, like, when I say I had my email pulled up when I saw your message come through, I'm like, okay, this has to be a God thing. Like, I don't even have to contact someone else. And just in the time that I gotten to know you, and even through your own sharing in the group, like, I could tell that you were a very organized person, that you are a professional in many ways of what you do. And I don't know, I just had this piece of like, okay, I've never been to Oregon. I don't know anything about this resort, but I have someone there that I trust, that we've started to build a relationship with, and she knows the area. She knows a great network of people who can do different things. And over time, to me, it's just been amazing of like, oh yeah, this person could help with that and they were a widow. Oh, this person could help with that and they were widowed. And it's just wow, how God can pull these opportunities and these people together to create something that I didn't have any idea it would look like that. I didn't know what this retreat was going to ultimately end up becoming. But the more that we talk about it and plan it and flesh out what it's going to look like, the more excited I get about like how amazing I think that it's ultimately going to be. So I'm so glad that you sent that message and that you're willing to do that, because most people probably have no idea how much work and planning and coordinating and phone calls and booth, like how many times you've messaged and said, hey, I went here and I talked with these people and I went and toured this area. Like, it's a lot of time and energy to do that. It's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely familiar with the area and have a lot of good networking here that I can just like, hey, I can grab this person, or I know this person, or I can ask that person. It is a small town area, so everybody kind of knows everybody. So it's easy to get those connections with different people and pull them in. And so that part's been easy. And I think but there's a lot of details that go into it. I think for me, it's been great because it's made me be here a lot. And And I can't even tell you, and I'm really hoping and praying that everybody else experiences this too. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just me, but it's like there's a road that there's a kind of a small highway that goes by the resort, and you can turn into the resort. And every time I turn into the resort area, I just feel my nervous system calming down. I can't even explain it. I just feel so much peace here, quietness, and I'm just experiencing healing every time I come here. And so I really appreciate that, and I'm really hoping and praying that that's what everybody else can experience too.
Mm.
And it has, and I think it's weird. I think when you grow up in an area, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you grow up and you've lived your whole life in one area, and like I grew up in the resort's about 50 miles away north of where I grew up in Northern California. So, I mean, to go see my mom out at her place, it's a little bit of a drive. And I remember growing up kind of in this remote farm area and there's lots of sagebrush, right? We're high desert climate is kind of the climate here. And I used to think it was like so ugly. And then I moved to the Midwest. I did graduate school in the Midwest, and everybody always asked me, "How was your time in the Midwest?" And I was like, "Well, it was too hot, too cold, and too flat, but the people were great." But I just remember like thinking like, why did I think where I lived was ugly? I had this snow-capped mountain, Mount Shasta, it's called, that it's the end of the Cascade Range. It's the largest mountain and it's in Northern California and it's just gorgeous. But literally in my backyard every single day I saw it,
Wow.
right? And I used to think that was ugly. And I'm like, okay, what? Right? Like I think just I am a huge traveler. I love to travel. And I love seeing different landscaping and different things and just experiencing different things like that. And I think it really makes you appreciate other things, you know. And I just came I lived 25 years up in Seattle, right? And we're known for our rain, and it's not a lie. And I don't know if it's more the rain, but the cloudiness. It just,
Mm.
you know, so I know there's other parts of the United States that gets more rain than we do, but it just has this cloud cover at all times, so it's gray. And I'm like, I don't mind the rain, it's more the cloudiness that gets to you. But because we have a lot of rain, right? It is so gorgeous up there. Like it is all the greenery and all the flowers and everything. And I think that you know, there's, you know, as we as widows are doing right now, right? As we're trying to, we have tons of sorrow, but we're also trying to hold joy at the same time. And we're
Right.
trying to combine both of those. And I think that that's, you know, there's a good and bad, you know, to get these beautiful flowers and that you have to have gray, cloudy, rainy days, right? I think wherever you go, you know, I am now being down here in Southern Oregon a lot is there's a beautiful blue skies and sunny a lot, but it's also very, you know, but it's also a lot more brown. And it's a farming area, so we do have all the farm crops, which help make it more green. Spring is always, I call it the ugly time of year because there's lots of wind coming through and the fields aren't planted yet, so they're all brown. So it's a lot more brown right now. But come by the time you get in here, all the farmlands will be all sprouting up and all green. So it's a lot more pretty through
Mm.
that. But yeah, I think that there's wherever you go, right? As there's that kind of a sense of joy and sorrow wherever there is. There's this good and bad. And like when my time in the Midwest, I never saw the mountains, but I made some really lifetime friends. So
Yeah.
when you have to look at both sides of things, it really is helpful.
Yes. And one of the, I think, the most beautiful things about you being the event planner is not only just knowing the area and knowing the people there, but given your professional background, and you don't have to go into a lot of what that is, but you are very attuned to people feeling grounded and people feeling at peace. And so I would say you're very aware about like thinking about all the little details that will help people who maybe haven't traveled for a long time or the first time by themselves, or travel can be really stressful of like going to a place you've never been and figuring out the logistics and booking the flight and all of those things. And so I think that's going to be such a gift for people who come, is that we've fleshed out a lot of those little details of, okay, how can we make them feel refreshed? How can we allow them to just show up? And as much as possible, we're going to alleviate the burden of getting the luggage to the car and getting to the resort and the heavy lifting of some of those things. And how can we just be aware to how people are feeling or if they get overwhelmed and what we can do to help them recenter. And so I think that in itself is just really going to be a great gift for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's been really fun for me too, because it's given me, I just slowly started back to work and I have my own business and I do nervous system regulation, I guess is one way of saying it, is one of the things I do. So I'm very hyper aware of my own body, where healing comes from and how to remain grounded. And if I get dysregulated, what to do about it. But I'm also very in tune to other people and how grounded they are or not, right? And can really pick up on that. And so to kind of have some ability to have some control over that, right? Like to create environments and places and things and knowing what could get people dysregulated or not. I think you and I working together have been a great balance. I'm definitely more extroverted, so know what the extroverted people will want. And you're more introverted, so know, so it's like we can kind of meet the needs of both people that are types of people that are coming too. I love to travel. I traveled, previous job I had, I traveled a lot by myself, all over the country. And so I've traveled a lot since my husband passed away. And so I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I was counting up, I think since January, I've been in 12 different airports. And I've been in big, huge airports, I've been in small airports, and I've been to the airport everybody will flying into. So I have a good sense of like how you travel, like what to do for traveling. And I tell you, these small airports are my new favorite thing. And so everybody will be coming in eventually. They'll probably have to grab a hopper flight into like a major airport, whether that's Denver, San Francisco, Portland, or Seattle, and come, and catch a smaller plane into Medford. But the airport there is just so lovely. I think the first time I flew out, I got there 2 hours ahead of time and I waited for an hour and 50 minutes before my flight. So then the next time I went, like, I think I left an hour and a half and I waited an hour and 25 minutes. I'm
Wow.
like, okay. So it's just, it's one of these airports that it's easy to get to, it's easy to get out. You're not going to get lost there coming in and out and those type of things. It's been super fun for me to plan this. It's given me another focus. As I said, I'm not back to work 100% yet. And this and doing the logistical part has been really fun for me. And I have this dream of like I said, I have many retreats planned for myself that I want to plan. In fact, one of my retreats that I literally have, my coworker and I had started, we had met 3 or 4 times to start planning this retreat. We just didn't have dates and everything, but it was a grief retreat and it was more general grief, not necessarily widow grief, but I can't be the main one to hold that space for people right now. But I'm like, I can handle logistics. This is, sweet. And learning more about like how you hold retreats in this space and what works and doesn't work has just been really invaluable for me. And it's been super fun to plan and work with you closely
Yeah.
on this. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And I've been to lots of different retreats and events, but not necessarily one for widows. So I think it is a good segue to like what our vision is for the retreat. I know one of the things that we talked about early on is this a retreat where people are going to unpack a lot of heavy and deep grief and we're processing all of that? Is this more forward focused? And so for me, when I thought about a retreat for widows, my initial vision is like, in so many ways, we as widows take on so much on our shoulders, right? Like all the admin tasks that you mentioned. Well, now you
Yeah.
have to do this and you have to call here. And all of a sudden, all these things that you had someone to shoulder the burden with, you're the person doing it all. And so to
Yeah.
me, when I thought like, what about a retreat would feel good? Is like, I want someone else to take care of me. I want someone
Yeah.
else to like think about it. And so I'm like, I really just get them to the airport. Let's just get people to the airport. Let's help them with their bags. Let's get them on the bus, get them to their resort, and have everything mapped out with some downtime for the introverts or free time for the extroverts that want to socialize even more, with some free time built in. But really, this is about just allowing people to show up, to let their shoulders down and just exhale like, okay, this is nice. Oh, this is beautiful. This feels healing. This feels relaxing. And to just kind of recenter within themselves to restore and take a step forward with where they want to go on their journey, and to really just be prepared to rise into like this next season of what they may be called to do, or what this next season of life is going to look like. So we don't pretend that grief doesn't exist, and we're not like, oh, we're going to forget your person and we're just going to move forward. It's not that, but it's also not focused heavily on the hurts of the past. It's more of this like, I'm a baby deer trying to find my feet now in how do I navigate life while embracing grief, while embracing adventure and curiosity and all of these other emotions, and figure out like what is meant for me in this next season and be equipped to step into that. And so as I think about that, it was like, it was all the R words, right? Like I want them to feel
Yeah.
refreshed and renewed and recentered and refocused. And so just like renew, like you're just renewed. When you leave, you feel refreshed, renewed, and like just grounded and ready to step into that next season of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you were like talking about like what words could we use that is great for what we want people to experience, and that top word that came up was renew. And I think just you had just recently dropped a promo video for this, and I was, and I would say the grief comes in such waves, right? And I think one of the things that I try to do for myself is just when it comes, instead of trying to just shove it down or whatever, I just let it come, and I just bawl. Like I stopped wearing mascara, which I love, but I had stopped wearing it because I was just like, I just don't know when I'm going to burst into tears right now in my
Mhm.
life. And I just let those tears come. A lot of times it's in private, so a lot of people, will see you out and about and like, oh, you're doing so great, you're so strong, and I'm like, I'm not strong. Like that. I'm like, I'm not. I'm missing person desperately, right? And learning all this stuff that you have to do by yourself now, and the single parenting just stinks. I can't even,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's probably the biggest, hardest thing right there. And not having somebody to bounce, what do we do with this one? And your turn, you go talk to them. I gave up, and not having that, and just it's just so challenging. And I think just like that constant, right? And it was funny because when it came out, like I was having a hard morning, having a hard grief morning, and just like missing that person. And something that and I forget what your like tagline is, but something that you say a lot, and it just really has resonated with my heart. But is because it's like, how do you move forward in grief? Like that's been a big question in my life. I lost my dad when I was pretty young. I have a college roommate that passed away. I had a niece. So grief is familiar to me. So the emotions of grief, but this is on a whole new level, this
Mm.
type of grief, it really like attacks your identity and who you are and how you function in the world. And so that like that renewing of who I am, right? And trying to figure that out. And but I'm also, if there's one thing that is deep in me, as I'm determined and really want to seek that out and what that looks like. And so you've always said that you can still create a life that you love. And I'm like, okay, I have to discover, that part of your life is ash. And I think that's really helped me move forward because we also know what comes from the ashes is a phoenix, right? And that's, a new growth can come from that. And I think just yesterday, I had a friend of mine was talking about, we were texting back and forth, and um, we were talking about that dichotomy of having joy and sorrow at the same time, and really focusing on the small things. And I was looking out my window, and I was like, here, look at my, these, this is my healing. This is bringing me healing right now, just seeing the sunshine and the grass and the beautiful trees out. And so she sent me a picture of like her yard, and it had this beautiful wisteria. It was her back porch mainly. It had this wisteria tree that was like trellised upon it, and just kind of this overhang, and it had these the wisteria has like these purple blooms on them, and they
Yeah.
were just like all hanging down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous today. And she's like, yeah, that wisteria was a tiny little plant from the house I grew up in. And I planted this many years ago at my house here, but this is the first year it really bloomed. And she's like, it took a few years, but now it's thriving. And she went on to say, like, yeah, I think people are like that too. It takes a while when we're in this new reality, but eventually we thrive and bloom. And I guess that's one of the things like to create here, right? As we treat each other kindly, as we look for just the small little moments. And I know one of the big questions that you get all the time is like, why Southern Oregon? Why this remote town that we've never heard of before, right? And sometimes I'm like, yeah, why are we coming here? And it's a big question. And whenever I meet somebody in the town that isn't from here and they purposely moved here, I'm like, why? What brought you here? Right? That's
Right.
always a big question. Like, why did you move to a small town? And, what is it about here that you like? And so it's one of my favorite questions, but like I know why I'm here. I have family and all here, but I don't know why, like, why do you move to this? And one of the things that kind of came to me when I was thinking about that question that it fits so perfectly. And like you said, and I really thank you too, Emily, for putting your trust in me and that you're trusting me to bring this healing. But I'm like, well, I know how it brought healing in my life, and how
Mhm.
it's working on that healing and it's being in nature, being in like there might be the dirt, right? The sagebrush and the dirt, which is kind of icky. But then you look out and you might see the you might see water. And then you'll see these beautiful snow-capped mountains. There's several around. And like one of our things that we're going to do is go to Crater Lake. And it's just, I was reading some posts last night about people that have visited Crater Lake and we're showing pictures of it. And it's just it's one of the, it's a national park, but it's an amazing place too
It's
for just,
gorgeous.
yeah, it's so gorgeous. So, and to see it live is just amazing. It was actually my husband and I's technically second date, and we went up there when it was snowy. It's a magical place too. And so when you see, like holding that dichotomy again, right? That joy and that sorrow. We're holding the dirt, but we're also holding the beautiful water and these beautiful snow-capped mountains. We're holding the sagebrush and remoteness, but we're also, seeing beautiful sunsets.
Mm.
That is just glorious. So it's just like and I think as widows, one thing that we can that is exponentially like our thing is that the unexpected, right?
Right.
And none of us expected to be here. None of us expected to be talking to one another and having to relate to our widowhood, but we have this unexpectedness, right? And I think going to a place that's kind of unexpected, right? Like why remote Southern Oregon, right? And then like, yeah, like let's go to a place nobody's ever been. I guarantee you nobody's been here before, right? But I think you can come if you decide to come, you can come and to this unexpected place, you're going to find this renewing of your soul of you're going to be able to rest, you're going to be able to find that, be able to restore yourself, and hopefully you'll be able to rise and return. And I like how you do a lot of forward thinking and you challenge us in that, like how do you rise out of those ashes, how do you return and become something new and creating this life that we can still love without our person in it so we don't get
Yeah.
stuck. And so I'm really excited for all of that.
Yes, me too. And you're right. When you said, I know this beautiful place in Oregon, I'm like, Oregon? I never been there. I was thinking Florida. Okay, now let's shift things. But I have always wanted to have like the big sky experience, right? We think of like Montana, Wyoming, these places where it's just mountains and sky and lakes, and it's just there is something very healing about being in nature that is so beautiful and almost overwhelming. And you just, that's one of the things I love about travel is like my
Yeah.
problem seems so much smaller. I feel like I gain a new perspective when I go to places and I can be in this
Yeah.
sense of like wonder and curiosity and like, wow, look at this play. I can't believe I'm here. Like, this is amazing. It's so beautiful. And so I think people will hear just the way you talk about it. And even if they look at pictures online, like even the pictures are just everything is so beautiful and it looks so restorative and just
Yeah.
relaxing. And
Yeah.
so as we started looking at the place and reading about it and looking at pictures, it wasn't even a second thought. I'm like, yep, this is perfect. This is exactly
Yeah.
what
And I
I
feel like
think
there's
people need.
something for everybody here too, is really cool. If you are a really great golfer, you can go golfing. If not, we can do the driving range or the putt golf. There's a spa here. You and I have been talking a lot about the spa. I've gone twice to get a massage there at the spa, and it's been probably one of the best. And I get massages a lot. I'm like one of those, like I go every month for years, and I've gone to a ton of different people, and it's probably one of the best massages I've ever gotten. They do nails and toes and wraps and touchless stuff and all this fun stuff. And it's just very, it looks out kind of over the golf course. It's really beautiful. And there is a sports center that has a big pool and hot tub and sauna. And I love going down there to those things. And it has all of the fitness area too, like the treadmills and weights and all that kind of stuff too. And it has a teen area that we can act young if we want and play pool and foosball or whatever they have there. Video games, I think arcade. And they have the outdoor courts of tennis and pickleball and basketball and a playground and horseshoes. There's trails all over the place. It's easy to get lost on all the trails here. There's bike riding. I think plans still maybe renting some e-bikes, and so people have opportunity to go e-biking around on the trails. There's horseback riding. There's trails all over the area, but there's one that's super fun here that is it's called Skillet Handle, and people can go. In fact, I rode my bike out there, and we went for like we didn't even make it to the end of it, and we went at least 4 miles out. I don't know how long the handle is to the very end, but about a half-mile hike in is what's called the Pondering Place, and it has a little mailbox. I think it might be geocaching too for people that are into geocaching,
Nice.
but it has a little mailbox and it has the thing where you can write where you're from, and it has these chairs and benches there you can sit and that's a really fun. There's horseback riding, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch more. There's a couple different restaurants to choose from, a couple shops. There's a little market that's right here. So, and that's all within the resort. And there's other things, like we're having our outing to Crater Lake, but there's something for everybody.
Yeah. And we're
So
gonna do some stargazing and
yeah,
we have a lot of
yeah. Bird
fun things
watching, gotten
planned.
into bird
Yeah.
watching. Like, yeah, what kind of bird is that? I'm like, okay, I think I've aged myself here. I'm into
I
birds, but
know.
um that's what you're supposed to do when you get to a certain age. But yeah, I mean, it's been the deer. There's a lot of deer, chipmunks, and other like wildlife. So,
Yeah,
and for those that aren't from the area, most of the West Coast, there's no humidity.
which is
No
amazing.
humidity at all. Yeah, so you're gonna love that, and it'll cool down every night. It probably the end of June. It'd probably be in the 80, 90s, more than likely. The big statement that this town makes is we have 360 days of sunshine. I
Mhm.
notice even on rainy days, like it will rain part of the day, but still the sun will come out at some point. So yeah, definitely hoping for lots of sun. Well, your hair will probably be in the 80, 90s, but it'll get down to 40, 50 at night, so it always
Wow.
cools down in the
Yeah.
evening time. Yeah, so the weather will be really nice for everybody too, especially that time of year.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so looking forward to it and just getting to meet some of the other Brave Widows in person and getting to build relationships and do it in a just absolutely beautiful, breathtaking place. I think it's going to be such a great experience. So,
Yeah. I don't know
if
if you've ever watched a movie, like, do you have a favorite movie you've watched like so many times, like you can't watch it anymore? But then your friend comes over and you're like, have you ever seen this movie? And they haven't. And so you get so excited for them to watch the movie with you because it's one of your favorites. So you want them to like it too. And I kind of feel like that, right? Like, okay, this has brought a lot of healing to my life. And it's unexpected. So there's a little part of me is like, well, I hope it's, like everybody loves it too, because it's definitely a little bit different, but I know the healing that's brought to mind. So I'm super excited to be able to share this with whoever chooses to come and really, yeah, and just I'm like that person that's seen the movie too many times. Like, okay, I've been here. I hope you'll love it as much as I do.
Yeah, I think we will for sure. So, thank you for being willing to share a place that you love so much with us and to share some about your story and why this place is so important to you. Like I said, when we started talking there and I started looking into it, I just immediately felt peace about it, and it looks fantastic. And I know that there's just so much to do and explore, and such a great opportunity for us to have that as our backdrop of connection and the things that we want to do in the retreat. So for people who are watching or listening, you can just go to bravewidow.com. We've got it right there on the front page if you want to join us at the retreat. And we're going to have some Q&A sessions, and we'll also have some preparation sessions in between now and then, so that as people have questions or need help with logistics, or they want to know what to wear and what to bring and what to expect, Denise is our resident expert, so she will help us make sure that we are fully prepared. Thank you again for coming to share your story and this beautiful place that we're going to see each other at soon.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Emily.
If you're tired of feeling lost, lonely, and second guessing every decision, my coaching program is meant for you. I help clients find clarity, create real connection, and build confidence up for good. Inside the Brave Widow Academy, you'll learn real tools that you'll be able to use for a lifetime. If you're ready for the next step, go to bravewidow.com to book a consult. It's free, it's no pressure, and it can be your brave next step to healing your heart and building a life you love again. Go to bravewidow.com today to book your consult.